Could one of those dominoes that needs to fall have fallen for us to have a little bit more clarity on Oklahoma's quarterback situation? Let's discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So as the Oklahoma Sooners pursue transfer portal additions on the offensive side of the ball, one of the big questions is, what are they going to do at quarterback? Jackson Arnold, gone. Brennan Zerbra, gone. Michael Hawkins slated to start in the Armed Forces Bowl. But I think everybody expects, even Michael Hawkins expects, that Oklahoma is going to have to add a portal quarterback to the quarterback competition this spring. The big name has been John Mateer. That's the one that everybody's going to be itching to get in their program. Well, the Oklahoma Sooners have been the one connected mostly because of Ben Arbuckle, the offensive coordinator that helped him have so much success in 2024. Well, another name that Oklahoma has added might add to their ability to woo Mr. John Mateer, and that's John Kuceyeski, the offensive quality control coach, analyst, and also quarterbacks coach for Washington State. Jay, do you think that this could have that kind of an impact for Mateer in the quarterback market?
It sounds like it. I did was scrolling through some of the Cougars, their boards to kind of get an understanding about Kuceyeski, and it sounded like the expectation was he was going to be the play caller in the bowl game. So he knows Arbuckle's system. He helps implement a lot of it. And so it sounds like he is integral in what Coach Arbuckle does in that offense. He followed him from Western Kentucky here. And so it sounds like they've got a connection. And well, Coach Kuceyeski looks like he's now at Oklahoma as a senior offensive analyst and assistant quarterback coach. So you got your two quarterback coaches right there, and Coach Ben Arbuckle as well as John Kuceyeski. Makes me believe that there is a heavy lean for someone to join them at Oklahoma. Now, I'm wondering if Mateer decides to go ahead and play in the bowl game and wait to hit the portal after that game. I don't know how that would work, overall, because as the portal gets closer and closer to closing, a lot of people is going to wonder, okay, so who's going to be the quarterback? Is Mateer going to come or not? Some of these wide receivers might say, hey, I like Michael Hawkins, but he's young. I'm not sure what he's going to look like in Arbuckle's system, blah, blah, blah. You'll have all of these things coming up. Well, with these two dominoes falling, John, it really does feel like Kuceyeski may tip things over, and we may actually hear something about Mateer in the next few days.
Listen, if Oklahoma is able to land a veteran quarterback, I think that bodes well for them. We like Michael Hawkins' talent. There's a lot to work with. There's a lot to like about where he's at mentally with the game. At the same time, Brent Venables really doesn't have a lot of time to wait on developing a quarterback. And we saw what some of the inexperience at quarterback could lead to in 2024 when nothing else is necessarily going right around you. That's not to say everything's going to go right around whoever the quarterback is in 2025, but you want to get somebody with a little bit more experience maybe at the helm in case things aren't right, in case you do have an offensive line that hasn't improved, in case you do have a rash of injuries at wide receiver again, that you've got somebody that's been in some of these tough battles, these tough contests, and has risen to the occasion. So yeah. Listen, if John Mateer comes to Oklahoma, I think that's probably going to be your guy. But if not, you're probably going to need to look for a veteran option to compete with Michael Hawkins in the spring to see, okay, who rises to the occasion and who takes a job. I think based on just not hearing anything about Oklahoma pursuing a quarterback anywhere else, right? We've heard them pursuing wide receivers, defensive line, offensive line, those positions in particular. We haven't heard about them pursuing a quarterback. And I think to me, that's telling. Now, they might be playing games in the shadows a little bit, trying to keep, the scent off a little bit. And that's okay. I don't mind doing business in quiet. I don't need to hear every detail, because actually doing business in the public is not going to bode well for negotiations. But the fact that we haven't heard of them hosting a quarterback or even offering a quarterback or pursuing a quarterback leads me to believe, again, just reading all the tea leaves, connecting all the strings on the cork board, doing the thing from Usual Suspects where you're seeing all the different signs, that it's going to be John Mateer. And again, I have no sources, no inside information, nothing that's telling me that it's going to be John Mateer, so don't mistake what I'm saying here. But the fact that they haven't been connected to a quarterback except John Mateer since the portal opened, since Jackson Arnold departed for the portal, tells me as much as I need to know.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. And so I'm honestly, I one option if Mateer doesn't come up, and even though I've seen that he's visiting a lot of schools, will probably be Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback from Cal. It would be fun to have him terrorize Auburn one more time. Especially since they picked up Jackson Arnold. It would just be kind of hilarious to have him do that again. But I'd say he's probably one of your options if the Mateer sweepstakes doesn't happen, because we all know Miami's going to be all over it. Mm-hmm. Honestly, kind of surprised that Miami's not all over Mendoza since he's from Miami, Florida. You would think they would go snatch him up and bring him home. But we all know that.
Like those Washington State quarterbacks, man.
The little quarterbacks coached by Ben Arbuckle, it seems like, man. You get one, you may as well go for the second one. I totally understand it, but I totally believe that Fernando Mendoza is one that you should definitely keep your eyes open for. There's not many other quarterbacks really on the list. I mean, you still got Malik Murphy who's out there. You got Luke Kromenhoek, the 5-star from Florida State. There's not a whole bunch of dudes that really are, I guess you could say, true options that Oklahoma could really go after. But it does feel like, just like you said, John, that all of the chips are in on just hoping and praying that John Mateer hits the portal, a la what Caleb Williams did when he decided to portal after playing in the bowl game. The thing that kind of sucks is we play our bowl games on the exact same day. So that Friday, both teams play the bowl game. First, you got Oklahoma in the early window at 11 o'clock, and then you've got the nightcap at 8 p.m. You got Washington State playing. So does Mateer play? Not sure. Hopefully we hear something this week. That would be great, because that would probably ease a lot of the tension in Sooner Nation. And then at that point, honestly, recruiting may happen. But, John, you made a very good point. We're probably still moving around quietly doing things. And there may even be a point where Mateer's telling people one way or the other. And that could be something that's impacting some of the transfer portal targets that we have, because they know something that we don't.
Yeah, I got to imagine that some of the things that we're seeing, they've let some people know, but maybe not everybody. Mm-hmm. Or they've at least let them know they've got a direction. They've got a plan. To bring in a veteran quarterback, or they're in pursuit of one. Right. It's a little bit complicated because the quarterback that Oklahoma is most connected to isn't in the portal. He's on a team preparing to play a bowl game and is still being heavily pursued by his own school. There was a report from John Kuceyeski that does a lot of work out on the West Coast, basically saying that Washington State's brass kind of went all in with an NIL package to try and entice Mateer to stay. Ooh. We'll see where that all ends up, but they're going hard. And based on Canzano's report, they didn't do this for Cam Ward a year ago. They didn't have a sit down with Cam Ward and put all the chips in the middle of the table and go all in to keep him. But they're doing it for Mateer because he's, according to Canzano's words, or the source that he spoke to, because it's not just about the player, it's about the person. And so that's going to be an interesting aspect of all of this. Does John Mateer feel some sort of loyalty to Washington State? It's hard to recruit him. It's hard to, turn down the place that you've given something to. Now, a lot of guys do it in the modern era of college football. The money talks, the opportunity talks. Yeah. But there are still a few dudes out there where loyalty matters. And there are a few dudes out there that being first to offer or first to recruit, or the person that recruited you the most or the most heaviest, that kind of stuff still matters in some instances. So let's not completely rule it out and say it's only going to be an NIL thing. Now, obviously, he's got that strong connection with Ben Arbuckle, that strong relationship with Kuceyeski, that's going to matter too. And that's what's giving Oklahoma an opportunity in this. Because if Arbuckle's not here, I don't know if they get this opportunity. But hopefully we'll find out something soon, because once you get the quarterback domino to fall, then everything else will start to fall in place as well. But we're going to discuss what's happening in the transfer portal coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.